Hello and welcome back to your Sunday night show with your host Usman Akhtar. As you can see, I'm on my own this week, therefore I will really appreciate anyone on Facebook Live. Get your comments in, your questions, all that good stuff, and like we say every single week, we will read them out, or I will read them out, should I say, and we'll try and go through as much as we possibly can. As you can imagine, it is the international break, therefore it's going to be a different show to normal, because of course I've still got the Man United shirt on for those of you who are listening to this on the radio. However, of course, we can't really talk too much about the football regarding the Premier League, although I will squeeze in at the end if we've got a bit of time. That aside, like I said, if you've got any questions, put it on the Facebook live chat and we will try and go through them as we go on. Anyways, let's get into the show itself. Like I said, international break, therefore we're going to go through all the top teams. I do apologize if I miss any teams. These are just the top teams by my personal opinion. So I'm going to start with Scotland v Kazakhstan. I've got to just quickly mention that. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but what on earth happened there? I don't know any of the scores. I know there's been a couple of results today. Scotland in particular. I know some teams are playing right now, so by all means, if you know any of the scores for those games, because I haven't checked actually coming live on air. I think Scotland were 1-0 up at halftime last time I saw it, and of course I know Germany are playing Holland at the moment, so if you know any of those scores, feel free to leave them in the comments, and of course I'll answer or give my sort of opinion on that. Anyways, Scotland losing 3-0 to Kazakhstan, absolutely ridiculous, isn't it, really, to be honest with you. Just wanted to start the show off just saying that, basically, what the hell happened to you? Any Scottish fans watching this, listening to this, what on earth happened to you guys? You lost to Kazakhstan, Borat FC as they're known. To be fair to Kazakhstan, they scored some absolute worldies as well. You know, the first goal was well worked, the second goal again very well worked, and the third goal ahead of back post, absolutely abysmal defending. For me personally, you can blame the management, you can blame you know, the tactics, that kind of thing, but at the end of the day, if the players aren't good enough to beat Kazakhstan, with all due respect to Kazakhstan on the pitch, there's so many players there that play for top teams, the Premier League teams, obviously Celtic, Rangers, etc. Within that squad, they should be more than capable, regardless of what the tactics, what the formation is, to go out and just get the job done. So for me personally, the players are accountable 100%. Absolutely embarrassing result, and it just comes back to that thing, you know, you see the rivalry between Scottish fans and English fans. At the end of the day, the Scottish team, it doesn't really do anything. Like, you lot can say that England, you know, had the easiest run to the final, but we still don't get anything done. Like, you don't win those easy games. You say England had the easy games, but when it comes to you guys playing these easy games, you always seem to stutter, and it just seems like one of those cases again. I believe they were playing San Marino. I think it was San Marino. Again, correct me if I'm wrong. They were winning 1-0, so hopefully they got the 3 points there, because at the end of the day, for me personally, I want all the British teams to do well. That's just me. I don't know what other people think. Anyways, moving on to the more, well, I say important games, but the more sort of highly accolade players. France, we'll start with France, because obviously they are the World Cup winners. You know, obviously they're the main team at the moment. France 4, Moldova 1. I think for me personally, I'm not gonna lie, one of the most beautiful moments about this goal was when was when Moldova scored, and the unbelievable cheer at this point. They're what, 4-0 down, the score, and the cheer from the crowd was, I just absolutely buzzed off it, to be honest with you, because what, to make it 4-1, it's obviously just a consolation goal, but you could just tell how much it meant to them, clearly. But France didn't really mess about in this game. You know, it was the first sort of qualifier, so I can understand why you need to get off to a good start, especially in these sort of tricky games. But France absolutely battered them, you know, as you would expect, dominated the game pretty much from start to finish. It was a fantastic performance from France, very professional. But I've just got to make I've got to have a special mention. Like I said, I've got the Man United shirt on, you know who I'm going to talk about. Paul Pogba's assist to Antoine Griezmann, shall I say, absolutely breathtaking. You know, first and foremost, I think Griezmann initially crosses the ball into the box. The ball gets headed out by one of the defenders. It comes back to Griezmann. He plays a ball to Pogba, right? It was what, 25, 30 yards out, probably about 30 yards, I give or take. This is the difference between world-class players, right, and people that, well, I suppose, yeah, this is the difference between world-class players in Pogba and other sort of players, midfielders. Another midfielder will look for a simple pass here, but Pogba goes for the audacious chip return pass to a Griezmann, and I've got to give credit due to Griezmann as well, because he straight away, as soon as he released that ball, he's on his bike, he's looking for the return pass, and that just shows that he has complete faith and a belief in Pogba's ability to find him. Like I said, it was nowhere near an easy pass, just to see the pass. You can tell Pogba was looking at Griezmann, and that just comes down to chemistry, of course, playing with each other for so many years, etc. And yeah, it's just one of those things. Obviously, Pogba plays back to him. Griezmann, unbelievable finish as well. What a beautiful goal by France there. And then on that note, basically, they just hammered him. You know, Varane get on the score sheet, Giroud get on the score sheet as well, who doesn't actually score that often. Finishing off a quite good run as well. It was a bit bizarre finish, but Mbappe coming on later on as well and getting the 4th goal. Like I said, Moldova got that goal, probably the most important goal of the night because he got the biggest year. But yeah, just regarding France, light work as you would expect. Quite easy game for them. You know, you wouldn't really expect any hiccups, but all their players turned up. It was a fantastic performance for them, and the French march on. So moving on from France, another team for me personally that are looking very good at the moment. However, in the past couple of years, maybe 4 or 5 years, they've kind of fell off, to be quite frankly honest with you. And that is Holland. 4-0 against Belarus. For me personally, growing up, you know, watching football, Holland have always been one of the best teams about. You know, they had so much talent. You know, they had obviously Dennis Bergkamp. Oh, this is in my era, and it was growing up, should I say? Dennis Bergkamp, you know, Edgar Davids, the Van Bommel. I know this is a bit of a random name, but I thought Van Bommel was absolutely world class. Van Bronckhorst, you know, Van der Sar. I could go on, obviously Schneider, etc. They had so many quality players. Obviously, the Man United players, Van Nistelrooy and whatnot. Yeah, so it's just nice to see. I'll be honest with you, I'm not gonna lie, it's just nice to see Holland playing well. Of course, they have got a new batch of players in the sense that, you know, they had a very poor World Cup because they went there, but put a run into the World Cup, so the qualifiers, so to speak. Obviously, they didn't get qualified, which is an absolute disaster for a country who have consistently, you know, provided quality players over the years. Like I said, there's so many players I've missed out, like Robin, for example, who's unbelievable. Van der Vaart. There's literally so many people that I can mention. So yeah, it's good to see them doing well. Like I said, they won 4-0. Memphis Depay, for those Man United fans like myself, do we regret selling him? I'm not 100% sure if we do, but he's looking quite a talent, let's be honest with you. You know, just to go through some of the players, of course, Depay getting 2 goals and 2 assists. Virgil van Dijk, who's the best defender in the world at the moment, in my personal opinion, getting a goal, and Wijnaldum. So 2 Liverpool players getting a goal, which isn't bode well with me, but I've got to give credit where it's due. You know, the team is looking very solid. Daley Blind, again, another fantastic player. For me personally, massively underrated, sorry. He was playing left back this game, but his ability on the ball is second to none. I know he hasn't got the pace to play left back. In my personal opinion, it's probably not his best position, but it's not going to be easy to obviously outlodge sort of Van Dijk and De Ligt at centre back. What a partnership that is as well, by the way. But yeah, just the overall team in the middle of the park as well. They got De Jong and De Front, and then obviously Depay at the top with Wijnaldum behind him. On the wings, they've got some up and coming talent. I know Baba was playing, but in general, they've got some up and coming talent. I was a bit disappointed I didn't see Kluivert. He's had quite a decent sort of you know, coming to fame, bursting onto the scene, should I say. He was fantastic at Ajax. He's got his move as well to Roma, I believe. He's doing okay, but again, he's still quite young. So like I said, they've got a lot of talent coming through at the moment, which is good to see. But going back to the game itself, Depay getting 2 goals. First and foremost, I've got to mention Depay's assist for the second goal was absolutely disgusting. He laid it off to Wijnaldum. He had no right to make that assist, but it was beautifully weighted as well. Just shifts it into Wijnaldum, and he does the rest to get the finish. But at this point, it was basically a foregone conclusion. Holland absolutely battered them, and the question is, are Holland back? That is the question on everyone's lips. For me personally, I don't think they're back just yet. It's good to obviously see them, you know, competing. Like I said, they're playing Germany right now, so if you do know the score, by all means let me know in the comments. But it is good to see them competing to the level. For me personally, they're not back just yet, because a lot of the players I have mentioned, like De Ligt, De Jong, of course, they've got major moves. You know, De Ligt hasn't moved just yet. De Jong's been transferred to Barcelona, of course. They haven't got their major moves just yet, but yeah, some of the younger players, they still need to develop, basically is what I'm trying to say. So the likes of De Ligt, De Jong, they're looking like unbelievable talents, but they still got time. They're all very young. Depay as well is still quite young. He's doing fantastic at Lyon as well, so that's good to see. You know, a fellow Man United player doing really well, and we have got a buyback clause. So for me personally, it'll be interesting to see what happens this summer, but we'll have to wait and see. Anyways, that aside, what do you guys think? Do you think Holland are back? Nawaz, he has put, how are you Nawaz? I'm good, thank you very much. Like I said, if you are watching this on Facebook Live, feel free to get your comments in. Of course, I will read as many out as we possibly can. Anyways, moving on to the team that most of us support, I would imagine. England, as we live here, of course. England 5, Czech Republic 0. At this point, I'm not going to lie, first and foremost, again, just coming back to what I've said regarding Holland. It's just good to see England playing well. You know, again, growing up, England is a team that we've all supported. Well, most of us supported growing up as a kid, but they haven't really done much in competitions. Of course, the World Cup was the first time since, was it 96, that we got to semi-final. It's just good to see England playing good football as well. I know a lot of people are saying Pep Guardiola deserves a lot of credit for the football we are seeing at England. For me personally, I think that's a bit disrespectful to Gareth Southgate. If anything, I would probably say Pochettino deserves a lot more credit than Pep Guardiola, because Pochettino has developed a lot of these players for England. You know, Kyle Walker, he saw his best sort of period of development under Pochettino. I know, yes, he's at Man City now, but you would have to put that down to Pochettino as in his development. Also Harry Kane, of course, is the obvious one. Dele Alli, Trippier, Dyer. A lot of these players are from Pochettino's team, and let's not make no mistake about it. Pep Guardiola has definitely revolutionized some of the players in that team, but to say that Pep Guardiola is to credit for England being successful at the moment is ridiculous, in my personal opinion. That's just some reports that I've seen quite a lot of journalists making that sort of assumption. Anyways, that aside, just want to talk about Raheem Sterling first and foremost. Obviously getting a hat-trick, a bit of luck in 2 of the goals. One of them was rebounded and he took it beautifully. I think that was the second goal, and the third goal was a massive deflection. But what I want to say about Raheem Sterling is he is an absolute testament to any sort of individual who has a dream and is willing to achieve it regardless of what other people say. And what I'm trying to say is the amount of abuse that Sterling has been receiving within the English media for X, Y, and Z. You know, I can remember so many cases that certain stories about Raheem Sterling being posted on social media and within the news articles. It's just out of spite, basically. And for me personally, for him to overcome all of that, and you saw the World Cup as well, he wasn't fantastic at the World Cup. Although he was coming off a very good season for Man City, he wasn't really setting the world alight for England, and he hasn't really set the world alight for England. This is probably his first major game, probably his best performance for England in a sense, but he wasn't get the sort of credit he deserves, first and foremost. And secondly, a lot of English fans were giving him a lot of stick in the World Cup, and for me personally, I don't think he played that bad in the World Cup. He just didn't score. Apart from that, I thought he was quite consistent throughout the games. If you actually watch his individual performances, a lot of the times he was playing really well. He just wasn't getting the goal, or he wasn't putting his chances away. Of course, a lot of people just look at those things when you make those mistakes, if you miss a chance, that kind of thing, which is understandable, especially in a World Cup situation. But you got to look at the overall performance. But coming back to this performance in general, it was an absolutely fantastic performance. Of course, he's the man of the match, he's got the match ball, etc. But for me personally, Sterling, just to overcome all the adversity, especially from the English media, and a lot of the media now are just consistently praising him. For me personally, just him again coming out and saying what he said about the media and how this sort of twist things and make it out like he's a lot worse than he actually is. It's just ridiculous, to be quite frankly honest with you. So I was happy for him, although of course he's a Man City player. I was more than over the moon for him, because he fully deserves every bit of success he gets. So just the first goal came from like a 26 pass or something move. This is where people are saying, oh, it's because of Pep Guardiola, England are playing this kind of football. It's a ridiculous statement. Like I said, Pochettino has had more of an impact on England than Pep Guardiola could imagine of having. And also you got to give Southgate credit as well, because he has given the confidence and instilled this kind of football into the players. So I don't see where Pep Guardiola comes into this. But anyways, fantastic move for England. Harry Kane showing why he's a class player. A lot of people will only look at Harry Kane and say he scored a penalty, he's a stat padder. Honest to God, you need to look at Harry Kane and his overall play. He's absolutely unbelievable. The way he holds up the ball, the way he sees that pass to Jadon Sancho, a reverse pass in behind Jadon Sancho, who again has been fantastic this season for Dortmund. Another prospect for England, looking very bright. Plays the ball across to Sterling, and he does what he does best, getting on the end of these crosses. Again, a lot of people will say Sterling, or all he does is score tap-ins. He's a tap-in merchant. Look, let's be honest with you. How many people get those goals week in, week out? He gets them week in, week out. It's not a coincidence. It's all down to his movement off the ball, sniffing out the danger, understanding when to make the run, you know, finding that sort of space as well, spatial awareness. There's so many different factors that allow him to get in that position. And on top of that, of course, he's got to be able to trust his players to obviously get in behind and also have the delivery as well. There's a lot of different factors that go into this. It's not just as easy as saying, oh, Sterling's so lucky he gets a tap in. And for me personally, that's discrediting him. You know, Ruud van Nistelrooy was someone who scored a lot of tap-ins, you would say, for Manchester United. He was prolific on his day, and for me personally, I would be very much disappointed if someone would to discredit Van Nistelrooy in the same way. Same with players like Hernandez. They're so pivotal to a team. Like I said a couple of weeks ago, Aguero gets a lot of tap-ins as well. And for me personally, you've got to be able to find the movement, lose your marker, that kind of thing, and just be in the right place at the right time as well. Sometimes you do need a bit of luck, like he did for the second goal and the third goal. However, he did take the third goal fantastically well. Jadon Sancho, again, another prospect for England, looking very bright. Like I said to you guys, England are looking a team on the up, very similar to Holland. I suppose they're a bit more advanced than Holland because we're coming off the back of a very successful World Cup, so the confidence is very much high at the moment, and you can see that on the pitch. All the players are playing for, you know, the country first and foremost, but they're playing for Southgate as well, which is beautiful to see. Finally, we got a manager that actually understands what we're trying to achieve and gives the opportunity to youth. Speaking of which, like I said, Jadon Sancho has been fantastic, but it was also good to see Hudson-Odoi, somebody who hasn't really had the opportunities under Sarri. I'm not going to lie, I was a bit, not skeptical, but I'm not 100% sure if I felt like he was warranting a call-up because he hasn't really played enough minutes to get that call-up. However, nevertheless, it's quite clear he's got talent. Let's make no mistake about him. Another fifth goal was an own goal, but just his confidence for such a young lad, an 18-year-old lad, to come straight onto pitch. I know it's easy for him because they're 4-0 up at that point, but nevertheless, take nothing away from him. Very good, good feed to cut it onto his right foot, takes a shot, gets a deflection, own goal. But like I said, it's all about having that confidence, and it just builds a bit of competition within the squad. A lot of players were missing from this from the game against Czech Republic as well, such as Lingard, Rashford. I know I've mentioned the two Man United players, but there's also loads of players that we have who are injured at the moment, like Welbeck, Oxlade-Chamberlain. You know, I know Welbeck's a bit for random shot, but I know he's a massive favourite in the England sort of setup. But also Oxlade-Chamberlain, Lallana. There's a lot of players that aren't even being mentioned at the moment. That's a credit to Southgate giving opportunity to the young guys, and also the credit to the young guys getting the opportunity and grasping their chance basically. And also just a quick mention as well, I know I spoke about England a lot, but I've got to mention Chilwell as well, because I thought he was fantastic as well. You know, it was a very easy game for him in a sense, but solid performance going forward. He looks a talent, I'm not gonna lie to you. Leicester have got some good players there, so it's again another potential talent there to push Luke Shaw and obviously Danny Rose, etc., who's playing on that wing. Yeah, pretty much everyone at the middle of the park as well, pretty solid. I think for me personally, I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna stick to what I said in the past. I think we need a deep line playmaker if we're gonna really progress to be a really big team. But yeah, Man Start, a lot of young talent, and like Wasim has said, they're getting the chances and the camp is buzzing, which is exactly what we want. It's a good environment to be in. Anyways, moving on to Spain v Norway. Spain winning 2-1. Goals from Rodrigo, I believe. Ramos scored a penalty. First and foremost, why is Ramos taking the penalties? It just looks weird. I know he's taken them before, and he's a captain and all that kind of thing. I know he's taken set pieces, like free kicks, etc. It just looks weird to me, I'm not gonna lie. Anyway, so Rodrigo scoring, making it 1-0, and then De Gea not getting a clean sheet again from Spain. A penalty which was awarded. Yeah, it was just a clumsy challenge really. A penalty awarded, and King obviously dispatching that penalty. If I'm not mistaken, because I know there's a few other penalties in other games. I think it was the grappling in the box, if I'm not mistaken. I think that might have been a different game. I'm pretty sure it was a Spain game. There was a lot of people pulling shirts, which was the reason they got given the penalty against them. King stepped up for Norway, who's probably one of the best, but he is the best player they've got. He put it away again. De Gea. A stat came up, something like De Gea's only saved 11 penalties out of 50. Can you really be too harsh on De Gea? What could he have done about that penalty in particular? But it's a bit of a ridiculous stat, isn't it? What would you do? Would you sub De Gea off in a penalty shootout? I don't really know. But that aside, the main talking points for me personally is Morata. Like, I know Ramos got a Panenka, obviously chipped it down the middle, but Morata, for me, what has happened to Morata? Honest to God, can someone please tell me what has happened to Morata? Absolutely shocking. Like, he missed 3 absolute sitters, 3 sitters, right? All headers. The third one in particular was unbelievably easy. I can't believe he's put that wide, and I felt like the Spanish crowd was getting ridiculously frustrated frustrated with him. I saw some of the body language on the other players. They look very frustrated with him as well. But the third miss was absolutely disgusting. I felt like the fans were about to boo him or something, and then he kind of redeemed himself because he got you know, got the penalty a bit later on after that. So good for Morata that he got the penalty, but he's nowhere near Diego Costa. Honest to God, it's like night and day. They need a new striker. I know Rodrigo was playing there and he was quite good, but for me personally, if Spain are going to do anything in these tournaments, they need a proper number 9. I know, like I said, Rodrigo's doing decent, but the Spanish team is nowhere near as good as it used to be, of course. But they're just not replaced Xavi and Iniesta, but it's never going to be easy. Isco's trying his best, but it's just literally not the same at all. Anyways, moving on from Spain, going to talk about Belgium against Russia. Belgium 3, Russia 1. Tielemans getting a goal on the counter-attack. First and foremost, that was absolutely breathtaking. What a beautiful counter-attack. Honest to God, I love the fact that Belgium are playing on the front four. They were committing so many people forward. It was just beautiful. It was just a beautiful goal, to be quite frank honest with you. I'm not sure who played it back. I think it might be Mertens, correct me if I'm wrong, who played it back to Tielemans, who scores his first goal for Belgium. Absolute beautiful finish from like 22 yards. Made it look easy, put it into the bottom corner. For me personally, I think he's a ridiculously underrated player. I know he's at Leicester at the moment on loan, but I don't understand why the likes of Arsenal didn't go for him. I don't understand why the likes of Man United didn't go for someone like Tielemans. Like, I don't get it. Like, I think he's better than what we've got at the moment, but that's just my personal opinion. I think he's absolute quality, and just during his time at Leicester, he's shown that he's quality as well. But the biggest talking point in this game was Courtois. What are you doing, Courtois? He's had an absolute nightmare, right? Like Real Madrid, Zidane's come back in. Zidane dropped, I don't know if you want to class it as dropping, but whatever. Zidane benched him for his first game back. So it's just one of the things. Zidane benches you for Keylor Navas, who obviously, as you know, Keylor Navas is Zidane's favourite. And then you just do that. Honest to God, what is Zidane going to be thinking? For me personally, I won't put him back in the team. I personally don't even like Courtois because of the way he left Chelsea. I just thought it was very disrespectful, to be quite frankly honest with you. But yeah, he was basically, the ball got played back to him. He's trying to take 2 touches, 3 touches, 4 touches. I don't know why. He gets tackled, and I think it was Cheryshev. I don't know how to pronounce that. You know what about, the big baller from Russia. He puts it into the empty net. Unbelievable scenes at this point, because there's only one at this point. And you can just see the players, the Belgian players were like, oh my God, are you being serious? But that man, Eden Hazard, what can I say about Hazard? The second goal, mate. It was a penalty first and foremost, but just the way he won it, he broke the ankle of the defender, like literally twisting and turning. The defender literally had no clue where he's going. Hazard wins the penalty. Hazard, of course, converts the penalty, say no more, and then he scores the third goal. Bit of luck to the third goal. The ball was played into Batshuayi and it comes off the back of his heel. Hazard makes absolute no mistake, puts it away, and the rest is history. It was 3-1, could have been 4, could have been 5, but it is what it is. Anyway, just going to quickly finish off on Portugal v Ukraine, because there's not really much to talk about on that one. And in the second half of the show, we'll just quickly finish up on some of the other games. Portugal 0, Ukraine 0. Carvajal got a goal disallowed for offside, rightly so. I'm not really sure why he went that early. The weirdest thing for me was that Pepe is still playing for Portugal, which is a damning thing to see. Pepe playing, he's past it, to be quite frankly honest with you. Ronaldo was massively frustrated in this game because the goalkeeper, Putov, that's how you pronounce it, was unbelievable. He was quite clean, the man of the match. But later on, Portugal definitely shot a pen. The left back for Ukraine quite clearly taken at number 23. But that side, very poor performance from Portugal overall. They didn't really take their chances. Anyways, like I said, after the break, I will talk about the remaining fixtures and we'll talk a bit of Premier League. Hello and welcome back to your Sunday night show with your host Usman Akhtar. Like I said, we're going to quickly go through the remainder of the fixtures. I was just checking the scores actually. Scotland did win 2-0, which is good to see, beating San Marino, which is fantastic. Scotland, well done, you finally got some points on the board. Goals from McLean and Russell. So fair play to you guys. Germany currently 1-0 up against Netherlands. I'm not going to lie, I've actually got Netherlands to win this game, just because. Oh, it's 2-0 now. Just as I've said it, it is 2-0. Goals from Sane, who was fantastic against who did I play on the week? When he had that tackle, I can't remember exactly off the top of my head. Let me just double check. Who did Sane play? It was Serbia. There we go. So yeah, Sane was fantastic against Serbia, of course. Good to see he recovered fully from that challenge, because I wasn't really sure what's happening there. Like I said, I actually thought Germany would lose this game, but fair play to them, they're 2-0 up, and currently Belgium are 2-0 up against Cyprus, which again is no shock whatsoever. Anyways, going back to you know, the show itself, we're going to talk about Italy, because Italy is a team that have kind of fallen off a bit to an extent, just mainly due to the fact that a lot of their sort of more senior players have retired, of course, first and foremost. But I'm not really sure what's happened with them, because obviously Mancini is back there now, which is good to see them get a proper manager. Of course, he's Italian himself, so he's got that passion. They've had some decent managers. Antonio Conte, I thought, did a good job for them as well. Defensively, they were solid, which got him the Chelsea job. But it's just, for me personally, Italy are just a weird team. Like, they've got a lot of talent there, but they've always been a defensive team, and they've never really been in a team that's overly exciting. Even now, they've got a lot of the Juventus players at the back. Chiellini, I think Barzagli is still there. You know, a lot of players that you would think are not retired, but like you probably need to sort of make replacements for. It would be interesting to see what happens in a couple of years when Chiellini, etc., are having to retire. But that aside, let's talk about the game itself. The 1-2-0, very comfortable win in the end. However, that they did have one bit of a scare. I think it was at the 79th minute, I believe. Finland had a very good chance by the name of Putki. I'll probably pronounce that wrong. If there's any Finnish people watching this, I do apologize. He had a very good chance when it was 1-0 to Italy. He really should have scored. Basically, the ball got played across the line and he bottled it pretty much. But just to quickly talk about the first half, first and foremost, a goal from Barella, which was a massive deflection on the volley. I think he hit it from like 20-something yards. It looked like it was a corner, but it was a corner, sorry. Got headed out and Barella hits it on the volley. I'm not sure if it was his first goal for Italy. It seemed like he was overly happy, which is fair play to him. But yeah, he scored. Massive deflection. Keeper had absolutely no chance. It was initially going the direction of the keeper, but the deflection took it away from him. That aside, gotta give credit where it's due. If you don't shoot, you don't score, and that is my Michael Owen quote of the bloody day. Anyways, going back to the performance itself, I personally thought it was a very good performance from Italy. Like I said, the team that's not the most exciting to watch, but I thought in this game they dominated the game. Verratti in particular and Jorginho were absolutely fantastic in dictating the play, pulling the strings, controlling the game, that kind of thing. I thought throughout the whole game they were really good. They remained disciplined as well when you know, they were pushing forward. They weren't overly committing, and it was just a solid performance, which is what you would expect from Italy against a team like Finland. Obviously the tests are yet to come for Italy and obviously the other teams that need to play each other. Like I said, Germany are playing Holland at the moment, and Germany are winning 2-0. So it'll be interesting to see how the teams get on against each other, because obviously against lesser opposition you can't really have a true reflection on how far these teams have come. Like I said, with Holland, are they back? Yeah, obviously they're losing 2-0 right now, but the reason I didn't think they were back is because, you know, they haven't obviously been tested first and foremost, but it's a very young squad. You know, you have to see how they get through adversity. So if they were to go and lose this game against Germany, it'd be interesting to see the character within the squad. Anyways, coming back to Italy, again, a lot of players in this team I personally think are of real quality. First and foremost, Bernardeschi, who of course plays for Juventus, who was absolutely phenomenal, by the way. He was a bit of an unsung hero against Atletico Madrid. I know they came back, Ronaldo got the hat-trick. Of course Ronaldo's getting the plaudits, but for me Bernardeschi was absolutely fantastic in that game. Not a lot of people mention his name. Again, a very good performance here, especially on the counter-attack. You see with Italian teams, they like to defend and counter-attack, but it was a bit of although they were doing that, but it was slightly different because they had a lot more quality going forward to what they've had it in a couple of years. You know, the last couple of years they haven't really had the most quality, but yeah, going forward they look very good. Of course, they had Bernardeschi on one wing, they had Immobile up front, who's obviously a very sought out striker as well, and they also had a youngster on the right, if I can pronounce his name correctly, Keane. I'm not sure if it is Keane, you know, I feel like that's too easy for pronunciation, but Keane, again, another player for Juventus who has he's kind of set the world alight to an extent. I think he's come out. He's had a couple of appearances for Juventus. I know he got a goal recently as well for Juventus, which was his first goal for Juventus. And today, his game for Italy again, first ever goal for his country. Fantastic performance from him. I thought, for me personally, I'm not sure what I didn't check who got the man of the match, but for me personally, I would have given it to him. From what I saw, he was fearless throughout the whole game. He was running at his man. He was taking his man on. He wasn't scared to do step overs. I think with the younger players, I think he's 18 if I'm not mistaken. With the younger players, you saw it with Hudson and Doyle for England and Jadon Sancho. These kind of players, they're all of a similar age. They don't have that fear in them because they're of an age that don't really have much expectations. People don't have much expectations of them. And I thought, for me personally, he was absolutely fantastic. In the second half, he definitely should have had a penalty. He quite comfortably got blocked off by two defenders, not one defender, two defenders. But Italy in the first half as well, Bernardeschi. This is a question I've got for anyone who's watching this, listen to this. Bernardeschi in particular, right? He went past his man. I'm not sure if anyone's seen it. Went past his man and then he got taken out. There was contact. It's a penalty. If he goes down straight away, it's a penalty. But in his head, he tried to play on, and then he realized there was no advantage in the sense that he wasn't going to get to the ball, and then he went down. So basically, there was contact. He took a step. He didn't go down straight away, and then he went down. So basically, he tried to stay up, but then he realized he can't get the ball, so he went down. So at that point, obviously, he's gone down too late. But it just comes back to the question: do you have to actually go down to get a penalty? Which, at the moment, is quite clear. If you don't go down, you don't get the penalty, which is, I don't know how that's going to change, because if he stood up there, he's not going to get a penalty. Let's make no mistake about it. At the end, it just looked like a bit of a dive, to be quite frankly honest with you. And the ref was well within his right to attempt to get back up. But it was a penalty. If he goes down straight away, it's a penalty. But that's for you guys to decide. That's just my personal opinion. Anyways, moving on to Germany and Holland. Like I said, I was going to quickly predict what I thought the scores were going to be for this game. Germany, of course, first and foremost, having that friendly against Serbia during the week. I don't think they were fantastic, but the main talking point about that game, let's make no mistake about it, was the fact that unbelievably disgusting tackle late on from Pavkov, if that's how you pronounce it. Straight red card. Could have broken Sané's ankle. So in that sense, I'm very happy that Sané has recovered, and of course he's playing against Holland at the moment as we speak, and he scored as well. So him and Gnabry have scored. Gnabry, another talented youngster who didn't get his opportunity in the Premier League, showing what he's capable of on the big stage. But yeah, for me personally, Germany, Holland, there's a lot of teams in Europe at the moment that are going through a transition. What I mean by this is that they're going through a period where the main players, like the people that you would associate for like 5, 6 to 10 years, like a decade, like the Mullers, the Hummels, the Boatengs, obviously Lahm retired a couple of years back, but these kind of players that you'd associate with these countries, they're all retired. So have they got the ability to get new talent in? I think one thing I will say about the German league is that they have the sort of tools to bring these new talented players in. What I'm saying is the teams in their leagues actually give young talent a chance, and this is why I come back to the fact that Pochettino deserves a lot of credit, because if it wasn't for him, I don't know if England would be in this position right now where they are looking very, very good. Obviously they've got a lot of young players, but as a team they're looking very good. They're progressing the right way, and I think Pochettino deserves a lot of credit. And coming back to Germany, again, very similar to Holland, they got a lot of young players, so it's a bit hard to call, because obviously you have to see how they bounce back from adversity. Have they got the character? Have they got the leadership? He's basically had a pretty much minus Neuer, if I'm not mistaken. He's had a full clear out of everyone. From what I saw, the starting 11 was practically all youngsters. Neuer's there, Timo Werner's still there, Brandt's playing. Gundogan was one of the more experienced players, which of course he hasn't got an unbelievable amount of experience at international duty. Mustafi wasn't playing. Kimmich is probably the most experienced player as well, or one of the most experienced players. Of course, he's a Bayern Munich player, but I think he was playing him in CDM, which is interesting to see what the situation with that is. But anyways, going back to Germany and Holland, like I said, I'm going to quickly go through some of my score predictions. I know some of them are, have already started, so it's a bit of a cop-out, but this is what I personally thought. I thought Germany would actually lose to Holland tonight. I thought Holland would have enough to get past them, but at the moment, as it stands, Germany are 2-0 up. So for me personally, I'm going to say it's going to finish in a 2-2 draw, because I still believe in Holland to at least get something out the game. The last time these two teams met, it did actually finish in a 2-2 draw, so it'll be interesting to see how they get on in the second half. Again, update me by all means if the scores have changed. Anyway, England are playing against Montenegro. 5-0 England. 6-0, 7-0. Nah, to be honest with you, I'm expecting a lot of goals. Like I said, England have got unbelievable amount of depth now, because I've got so many players that aren't even playing. But for me personally, it's just that creativity lacking in the middle of the park when Henderson is playing alongside Dyer. I just think that's something that they need to fix. But minus that, I'm gonna say 5-0 to England. Let me know what you guys think. Belgium against Cyprus. Well, the last time I just checked, which was about 5 minutes ago, it was 2-0 to Belgium, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm expecting that to be 5-0. I would have said that anyways. But moving on, France against Iceland. Obviously, England know about Iceland. Sigurdsson, who stat-wise is having a good season, but he hasn't been phenomenal for Everton. But can only see France winning that. I think they drew to them a couple of years ago, if I'm not mistaken. I know England obviously had that absolutely horrendous performance against Iceland. They're one of those teams that might just make it difficult for the likes of France. But for me personally, like I said, France got too much quality. If you look at the players that are not in the team, that they're unbelievable. Like, this is ridiculous, isn't it? I'm gonna say 4-0 France. I can't see Iceland scoring, to be quite frank honest with you. Anyway, moving on, Malta and Spain. Again, I'm not sure what I think of Spain. I think they're suffering from a lot of their players retiring, or getting to the age that they can't really do a job for the international team. Obviously, it's never going to be easy replacing Xavi, Iniesta, Busquets as a midfield trio, but on top of that, they lost Fabregas as well, so who could have been a potential replacement. Well, not to the same level of course, but at least he'd be something. Isco's not quite doing it for me. Asensio's not really getting a chance. I think Jesus Navas was playing, if I'm not mistaken, last game, which just shows the lack of sort of talent coming through. I don't understand how Asensio is not getting that team. But yeah, so I'm expecting this to be an interesting game. Malta v Spain. I'm going to say 2-1 actually to Spain. I think they'll just scrape it, but I don't think it's going to be convincing by all means. And they just don't look the same team. Defensively, they're still quite solid, but overall, it's a bit disappointing from Spain. I'm not going to lie, I've always liked Spain, but it just is what it is. Anyways, moving on to Italy v Liechtenstein, if I pronounced that right. I'm pretty sure I have. Like I said, Italy got some decent players. The midfield in particular, man. Honest to God, Jorginho I think he's a quality player. I know a lot of people have been giving him a lot of stick, and to be fair, he does deserve that stick. But for me personally, I think Italy could be a dark horse, because defensively they look solid. If they can just fix potential sort of areas, Benedetski quality player, Mobile quality, they've got some decent players in the middle of the park, so like I said, Jorginho, etc. Barella, very good player. There's another guy, is it Quagliarella? I'm not even gonna bother. Quagliarella, I think that's right. Probably not right, but he came on off the bench as well. He hit the bar twice, bless him. Man couldn't even get a goal. He hit the woodwork twice. But like I said, they have got some decent players coming through. The likes of Balotelli is actually doing all right for his respective club. I think he's at Marseille, if I'm not mistaken. So they have got some decent players. I think Italy would go far. I think they're a bit of a dark horse, because like I said, they've got the foundation. They've always had the foundation. It's almost in their DNA to be solid at the back and be able to counter attack, and they've got the ability to counter attack with frightening pace with Keane there and Benedetski. So for me personally, they're dark horse. This is for the Euros, of course. But anyways, for this game in particular, 3-0 Italy. I think it's going to be lightweight for them. Jorginho and Verratti. Love Verratti. I would want Verratti at Man United. I'm just calling that out now. He's class. And yeah, 3-0 for me personally. I don't know what you guys think. Was this just commented what I tell you about Isco. For me personally, I would still take Isco at Man United. This isn't me having a dig at Isco. I think he's absolute class, but it's never going to be easy to fill the shoes of Iniesta. Let's make no mistake about it. And Rupert has commented saying that shirt, yes. What can I say, Rupert? We've got to represent Man United. Anyways, moving on to Manchester United itself. I'm just going to quickly talk about transfer news. Yeah, just Man United transfer news, to be quite frankly honest with you. First and foremost, Herrera to PSG. I have to start with Herrera to PSG. This has been a massive story, regardless of what team you support. I'm pretty sure everyone's aware of this sort of story. I'm sure if you're a rival fan, you probably want Herrera to go. My opinion on Herrera is a bit controversial, mainly because I don't rate him as much as a lot of people do, and I'm going to explain that right now, why I don't rate him as much. First and foremost, do I want Herrera to go to PSG? Of course I do. No, of course I don't. Okay, so he has to stay for me at Man United. He's been a pivotal part for our success this season, especially under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But just in general, I just love him. I love his passion, his desire, his work ethic, everything. There's so many different aspects to him that I love. However, for me personally, I think he's a CDM. I don't think he's good enough to play box to box, especially for Man United. There's a reason he's not really had many games for Spain. Well, I suppose it's never going to be easy. That's not really a fair statement, I'm not going to lie. Because obviously look who's ahead of him, and yes, etc. But that aside, he's just not good enough for me in the box-to-box position. In a DM position, yes, I would 100% play him in DM. But let's just quickly break it down. First and foremost, Man United play a 4-3-3 system. Herrera is fantastic for screening the ball. He's fantastic to allow the likes of Pogba to go forward. So in a 4-2-3-1, he is a very good player for us if he's set up to counter-attack. So against the top 6 team, against a team that's going to be tight, you need to get stuck in, that kind of thing, or you just need people to win the ball back. I think he's fantastic. But this is Man United. For me personally, right, and I don't want people to think this is like I'm trying to be too harsh, but if we have that, if we have ambition, right, and we want to get back to where we deserve, we can't have Herrera starting week in, week out. I just don't think he can start week in, week out. Let me just reel off a couple of names, and this is the reason why. He's currently playing as a box-to-box, right? So we've got Pogba on the left, Herrera on the right, and Matic as the holding midfielder, whatever. So he's currently playing in position, similar position to these players, and obviously some of these names I might be past it, but I'm just trying to give you an idea of what I'm trying to get at. So Bernardo, who's obviously at Man City, Toni Kroos, Thiago Alcantara, Isco, Verratti, De Bruyne, Gundogan, Carrick. There's so many players that play in that position. Fabregas, sorry, I didn't even mention him. He was probably my favourite player actually in that position in the Premier League in the last 5 to 10 years. Anyways, so there's some of the players that play in a similar position to Herrera. Like I said, Herrera's passion, his desire is irreplaceable. You can't get that. You can't buy that these days. Sadly, money seems to mean so much to players, so it's difficult to get that kind of sort of passion and leadership as well. His leadership is the most important thing for me personally. But what I'm trying to say is, if you're trying to control a game, right, like for me personally against Wolves, the reason we lost that game, we had 2 DMs playing, right, alongside Pogba, and we were set up to counter-attack, which is fine because we've done that successfully under Solskjaer and it's worked. But they quite clearly looked at our game plan in the last couple of games and said, no what, let's give Manchester United the ball, let's see what they can do. So we had 65% possession in that game, and I can't recall us creating I can't recall us creating a proper chance in that game. Let's not make no mistake about it, right? Herrera has so many chances to play a ball in behind, you know, play a forward pass, but what does he do? And this isn't a criticism of just him. There's other people that do this as well, i.e. Matic, but he looks for the safe option. He's not going to hit that pass that Pogba hits when he chipped the ball over to Griezmann as in a 1-2. Has he got that in his locker? Of course he has. We've seen it in moments. But if you go back to the players that I mentioned, Thiago Alcantara, Fabregas, Toni Kroos, these kind of players, he's nowhere near on their level. So what I'm trying to say is, for the system that you are playing, is depending on if Herrera should be playing. Okay, so if we're going to set up counter-attack, so just say we're playing Man City, of course Man City are going to dominate the ball. We're playing a 4-2-3-1, Herrera and Matic have to play that game with Pogba in cam. However, if we're playing against, I don't know, let's just say a Burnley for example, if we're going to set up in a 4-3-3, the player playing right centre mid, which is currently Herrera, has to have the similar capabilities of pulling the strings as the players that I mentioned, because at the moment it's so easy to play against Man United. You saw against Wolves, they gave us the ball. What they said was, we're going to put 3-4 players on Pogba, or whatever it was, 2-3 players. I know a lot of people are giving Pogba a lot of stick because he wasn't fantastic, and I completely understand that. But let me just try to explain from Pogba's perspective. He's got 2 people on him at all times, yeah, which is fair enough. He has to somehow figure out how he's gonna you know, still have an impact on the game. But he looks to his right and he's got Herrera there who's just playing sideways passes. So all they know is, if you nullify Pogba, you basically nullify all of Man United's creativity, and that's my main sort of issue with Herrera. Do I want him to go to PSG? Of course I do not, because he is fantastic for us if we are playing in the big games. But if we want to dominate the game and we're going to have 65% possession against the likes of you know, Wolves even, if we need better players in the middle of the park, it's quite simple. We need someone like Toni Kroos who's going to stand next to Pogba and pull the strings. Let me just reel off a couple of teams, and by no means am I comparing our midfield to them, but this is just a couple of ideas. Bayern Munich, again, not a team that are playing well, particularly. I know this is not the greatest example, but just look at the players on merit of ability. Okay, so they've got Gotetsa, so they play a very similar system to us. They play Gotetsa there. I probably butchered his name. He scored last week. Yeah, so they play Gotetsa in the DM, who's basically a ball playing midfielder like Jorginho. Next to him, they got Thiago Alcantara, another creative midfielder, and in front they got James Rodriguez. Okay, I'm not saying they've got the ability, they've got unbelievable ability there, but as you can see, all three of those players can pick a pass, and not only that, pick a pass forward and unlock a defense. You look at Man United midfield, we've got Matic. He ain't gonna unlock no defense. Fair enough, he doesn't need to. Herrera next to him, he's not realistically unlocking a defense. And then we've got Pogba. So for me personally, if I'm a manager and I'm looking at Manchester United, it's quite simple to nullify us. Just put someone on Pogba, put another player on Pogba, and let Herrera and Matic have the ball. What they're gonna do, they're gonna pass it sideways. If you have someone like a Fred or like a Tony Cruz there, who's capable of finding a pass, then you know, or like an Eriksen. I think Eriksen's a perfect example, because if you watch Manchester United against Spurs in the second half, because they were chasing the game, they put Eriksen in the deep line playmaking position, and he absolutely bossed the game, because he has got the capabilities of finding a forward pass, creating chances. Eriksen would be perfect. I know we're not going to get Eriksen because Daniel Levy will never sell Eriksen to us, but if we had Eriksen in that Herrera position, then we would be looking like a proper top team, because not only have they got to deal with Pogba, then they got to be thinking about Eriksen. They got to think, we can't give Pogba space, put two men on him, but then if we put two men on Pogba, what's going to happen if we leave Eriksen with one man? He's going to absolutely destroy us, and that's the sort of problem and dilemma we're going to have going forward. Is Herrera someone that we need in the squad? Absolutely. By no means am I saying I don't want Herrera. I absolutely love Herrera. He's got so much passion for the club, but some United fans going a bit overboard and rating him too highly. That's my personal opinion. I don't know what you guys think. Just gonna have a quick look at some of the comments. It seems poor. We may need a huge rebuild this summer. Absolutely agree. What do you guys think in the comments? What players would you go for? For me personally, and I said this at the start of the show, Tielemans is massively underrated. He showed at Leicester he's got the qualities to play in the Premier League, and I think in a better team where you have a lot of the ball, he would shine. You saw, I think he was for the second goal, his goal actually, he was outpacing Hazard as well on the break, and he was absolutely lethal as well. So he's got the pace as well to keep up with the attack. So I think Tielemans would be a good shout. There's obviously other players that you could mention. I love Verratti. I absolutely think he's class. I know he's not a huge fan of Man United, but I think he would be fantastic for us. That said, I just want to quickly talk about Pogba. I've spoken a lot about Herrera, but Pogba game, he came out. This happens every international break. I'm actually getting to the point that I'm just sick of it now. They asked him a question about Zidane's shock. Obviously Zidane was massively rumoured to come to Man United prior to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's sort of revelations, so to speak, and Pogba just come out with a statement. Before I go into statements, I'm going to quickly read some more comments. I believe Rupert's left a few as well. I agree. I think he's a leader, a squad player, and gives everything, but he's not irreplaceable. All right, but we love him so much. So basically echo what I've said. We need the best of the best quality wise in every position if we want to be back in the top. Literally, it's as simple as that. If you look at Manchester City's team, right, they got Bernardo Silva, they got De Bruyne, David Silva. Okay, all three of them are better than Herrera, of course. On top of that, they got Gundogan. Like, I would take Gundogan over Herrera. He's unbelievable as well, and he doesn't even get a game for them. I know he's playing for Germany at the moment, but it's just one of the things. Like, Herrera's not the best of the best. If you aspire to be back up there, you've got to be ruthless, and we've got to replace Jesse Lingard. I know Rupert loves Jesse Lingard. I'm not going to talk about that now, but for me, it falls into the same bracket. Sancho has to be there on that right wing. Wassa said Koulibaly, Sancho, Van Bissaka, obviously from Palace, who's been sensational this year, and Icardi. I've mentioned Icardi's name in the past, and a lot of people haven't agreed with that. I think Icardi is quality. For me personally, I would definitely agree with most of what you said. In fact, whilst I would actually take all four of them, obviously it would solve the right back situation, the centre back position, right wing. No, if we sign them players, we might win the league. You heard it? I'm joking. But no, Koulibaly, Sancho, Van Bissaka. It's Wan Bissaka. That's why I was thinking that doesn't sound right. It's Wan Bissaka, but you confused me. Not Van Bissaka. Wan Bissaka with a W. and the Cardi. I think that's a very good shout for quite a lot of money there, but we definitely need that. A Rupa game saying we need to get Sancho. She's probably getting Sancho, which is a bit optimistic, but just pay the money, to be quite frankly honest with you. It'd be worth it. You've seen what he's done for Dortmund. My only reservation with Sancho is that he's doing it in the German league, and you saw this season the quality in the German league is nowhere near as good as it has been in the past. Yes, obviously they've got unbelievable talent there, but that's my only concern. I think it's nitpicking slightly. He wasn't really fantastic against Spurs in both legs from what I saw anyways. So that's my only sort of critique of Sancho. But yeah, that aside, quickly just going to reel off the Prem fixtures for the coming weekend, and I'm going to go through my score predictions. Again, feel free to leave yours in the comment section. Anyways, first and foremost, Fulham against Manchester City. Wow, this is going to be a hard one to call. Basically, if you play fantasy football, I'm torn between Sterling and Aguero for captain for this one. I don't know which one to go for. Obviously, Sterling coming on the back of a hat-trick, so I might go for Sterling. We'll see. We'll see how I feel. 5-0 Man City, quite straightforward. Man United v Watford is going to be a very tricky game for us. Obviously, they got a lot of talented players in their team. Deeney, Gray, etc. I'm going to still stick to Man United. I think it's going to be a tight game, but we'll win 2-1. West Ham Everton, I took that one in. 2-2. Cardiff Chelsea, I think Chelsea will win that 2-1. Liverpool Spurs, Liverpool, I'm going to say 1-1. And then Arsenal Newcastle, I'm going to say 2-1 Arsenal. Anyways, it's been your boy Osman. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to see you next week.